Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Neely by Nature. If you are new to this channel, my name is Neely, and on this channel we talk about social issues, international news, law of attraction, spirituality, self-development, self-improvement, and so much more. So if any of those topics interest you, please remember to hit the subscribe button and support your girl. I would love for you to join this wonderful community that I'm building here. I also love hearing from you guys, so please comment below your thoughts and thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. So let's jump right into today's video, which is about why I think people should take breaks and a hiatus from social media. What prompted me to make this video was that yesterday Facebook experienced major outages across all of their platforms. So Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp were all down for several hours, and they basically said it was due to faulty configuration outage that they were experiencing. And of course, there was so many conspiracy theories going around about, what actually happened. Which makes sense because Facebook in the past has experienced breaches in their system, which they never made public. And this goes for the 2016 presidential election with Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, which was major. I think this was the first time people realized the power of Facebook and how much information they actually collected on the masses, which is my first point on why I think people should take breaks from social media. It's because social media platforms like Facebook have collected an incredible amount of information on the population globally. And this information isn't just like, oh, what's your name, your email address, and your home address. This is information that they collected that they are able to intelligently understand what emotionally triggers us. And this was pretty much how they were able to sway our elections in 2016. So if you aren't aware, in 2016, when we had our presidential election with Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, there was a major breach in Facebook. And basically, all of our information was compromised. And a company called Cambridge Analytica got a hold of this information. And they worked with the Trump campaign. And what they did was they took that information, mined it, and they were able to understand what emotionally triggered people. And what they did then was they were able to create propaganda, and they were able to push a narrative in rural towns throughout America, which are usually the coin toss towns in America that kind of become the deciding factors of an election. And what they basically were able to do was sway people's decision and when it comes to electing a president. And so what happened was Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg and his executive team ended up having to go in front of our Senate committee, and they were basically on trial.
Would I be able to run advertisements on Facebook targeting Republicans in primaries saying that they voted for the Green New Deal? I mean, if you're not fact-checking political advertisements, I'm just trying to understand the bounds here. What's fair game?
I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head. I think
so. You don't know if I'll be able to do that.
I think probably.
Do you see a potential problem here with a complete lack of fact-checking on political advertisements?
Well, Congresswoman, I think lying is bad, and I think if you were to run an ad that had a lie, that would be bad. That's different from it being
So you won't take down lies, or you will take down lies? I think it's just a pretty simple yes or no.
Congresswoman,
I'm not talking about spin. I'm talking about actual
yes, in most cases, in a democracy,
okay.
I believe that people should be able to see for themselves what politicians that they may or may not vote for
so
are
you
saying,
won't take
judge
them
their
down.
character for themselves.
So you won't take. You may flag that it's wrong, but you won't take it down.
Congresswoman, it depends on the context that it shows up. Organic post.
That's all right. I'll move on. Can you explain why you've named the Daily Caller, a publication well documented with ties to white supremacists, as an official fact checker for Facebook?
Congresswoman, sure. We actually don't appoint the independent fact checkers. They go through an independent organization called the Independent Fact Checking Network that has a rigorous standard for who they allow to serve as a fact checker.
So you would say that white supremacists tied publications meet a rigorous standard for fact-checking? Thank you.
I think the bigger question that came out of that was, who is responsible for ensuring that fake news and misinformation isn't being pushed onto the internet and these social media platforms, right? As technology progresses, there become larger concerns, and this was a larger concern. So who's responsible? And Facebook basically was like, we don't really feel that responsible for that. It's not really, we're doing our best, but at the end of the day, you know, it's kind of out of our control. When you have platforms like Facebook and TikTok and Google and YouTube and all these different social media platforms, when they have collected that much data on the masses and they're able to understand what emotionally triggers people, I think the question that comes out of it for someone like me is that we are all then susceptible to believing a lie, to believing fake news, to believing a conspiracy theory, because you can literally right now today go and ask a question on Google and you will find a answer that best fits how you feel or what you want to hear. You can also ask that question in the opposite way. You know, you can ask, is the color of water clear? And there'll be 1,000 articles that's like, yes, the color of water is clear. And then you can be like, ask a question on Google, is there another color to water that we are not seeing? And there'll be a bunch of articles that be like, yes, the color of water is not clear. So you can find whatever information you want on the internet today. It's an ongoing process as who controls the internet. And that's basically where we are right now with a lot of these social media platforms. And because we the people don't even own our information, it's an even larger issue, right? Because I am not even able to, you know, ask Facebook and TikTok to not collect data on me. Or ask for that data back. I have no rights to it. None of us do. But these companies sell our information to companies. And I've worked in tech companies my whole life, and this is basically what we do. We basically buy information of people, and then we mine it, and then we figure out ways to market to people through data collection. And I think that we should be aware and concerned about this, because I think the greater question at the end is that, are we thinking for ourselves? Or is what we are thinking and believing and feeling being taught to us, right? Is my thoughts, or have I just been pushed this narrative and it's become my thoughts? Am I thinking for myself, or has the narrative been given to me? I think that's what makes me feel sometimes like, are we living in a simulation? And as technology becomes more advanced, these are the larger concerns of our society that we will have to deal with, because there are so many issues in our society that I feel like people, especially in first world countries, are not, maybe not even aware of, but we just don't care, right? You know, I talk a lot about climate change. I talk a lot about social issues, and I don't feel that the masses are able to do anything about that, because we're receiving an overwhelming amount of information. Like I said earlier, you can find any source or any article to prove whatever theory you have in your mind. And so we don't even know if that theory that you are building in your mind is a theory you came up with, or it was a theory that was pushed onto you. You don't even know if that was a theory or a belief that you created or you came to conclusion on your own, or if it was multiple ads you saw on social media platforms, right? In the past year alone, there has been so much misinformation about the vaccine and COVID and Corona, QAnon, all these things. I've had friends who, within a few months went from being afraid of COVID and not going outside and not wanting to see anyone and like being the most clean person you will ever come across, and then suddenly being like, no, the vaccine is they're trying to control us with this vaccine, and I'm not wearing a mask anymore. It just was like in a matter of months, I've seen people in my life just completely do a 180. And it's because of the overwhelming amount of information they are receiving and then processing. And so that is one of the reasons why I think that we should all take long breaks and take a hiatus from social media, because I don't think it's natural for us to be receiving that much information. And when we are receiving that much information, how much time do we have to actually process that information? You know, what are we actually doing with that information? And the truth is, we're so overwhelmed already with the daily experiences of life, right? I talked about this in my previous videos, where I say the average American works 40 hours a week. And then you have, you know, let's say 2 hours minimum, where you have travel time. Then you have another hour every day where you get ready. So that's 5 hours. 10 hours for travel time, an hour every day for getting ready, another 5 hours. And then say if you like to work out after work, that's another hour every day. And then say when you get home, you want to cook, that's another hour. And then you take a shower. You have like this very, very few hour or two to yourself. And then you're back to going to sleep and doing the whole system again. You might have the weekend, but the weekend then is filled with doing your chores and you know, maintaining your relationships with your family or whatever. You have this small period of time to yourself. And in that small period of time to yourself, what are you doing? Most of us like to watch TV. Most of us like to check out. Most of us like to go out with our friends, right? You really don't have enough time to process the information that you're receiving. And so it's easier for us to just kind of look over these issues because we're hoping that someone else is taking care of these issues. And in the process, these companies, these conglomerates, they're just controlling us. And we're becoming a slave to the system. It's really important to take a break from social media, because you need that time for yourself. You need that time for yourself to understand who you are. You know, if you have a few hours through your day and you're just using it to go on social media, to watch TV, you're not giving yourself any time to actually find who you are, to ask yourself, who am I? What do I want in life? What's my purpose, right? Because as soon as we graduate college, we're out to look for work. From the moment you're born, you have maybe 2 to 3 years where you're a toddler and you're just enjoying life, and then your parents put you in pre-K, and then you're in kindergarten, and then from kindergarten you're in school all the way till you graduate college. And then when you graduate college, you're going straight into finding a job. How much time does the average person, have to find their purpose, to ask themselves, questions about life, to have a moment to experience life? One of the greatest lessons I've learned throughout this pandemic, something that just changed my entire life, was that when I came to the realization that every single person is a product of their environment, and their experiences become their perspective. So how can I be mad at anyone? When we think about how people in our country can be racist, or can be so conservative, or whatever, so liberal, think about where that person's growing up. Think about the environment they're growing up. Think about the people they're surrounded by. Think about the information that they're processing. Think about what they're seeing on social media, right? If your friends are all conservative, or your friends are all liberal, and all you're seeing is their posts, and you're conversating with these people, and then you go on Facebook and you're seeing all these personalized ads that are swaying you to think and believe in a certain way. How much of that time do you ever have to yourself where you can actually figure out how you feel? How do you as an individual feel? Not something that someone pushed onto you. Even religion we can talk about. Most of us have such conviction in what religion we believe in. You speak to religious people from different religions, and they have such conviction that their religion is the right one. And these are most likely religions that they were born into. But how much time do we have to ourselves to think freely, to be a free thinker? And the truth is, we don't have a lot. We don't have a lot of time to ourselves to do that. So when you have social media platforms that are spewing misinformation and fake news and propaganda, and they're able to control what you're seeing, what you're visualizing, what you're comprehending, what you're processing, then it becomes, are we then ourselves, or are we robots, right? We're just being controlled. We're just being told how to think and feel. And so it's like the movie The Matrix, right? Like, we are just literally living in a simulation. You know, we're just in this machine type of life where we're robotic almost, right? And we can't think for ourselves. And it's important that we do find the time to think for ourselves, that we find freedom, the freedom to think and feel the way you wish. But it seems like a lot of those privileges are, they're slipping through our fingers. And so it's important that we take a time to break off from social media and have that time for ourselves. That time we would have been on social media. People are on social media every day for hours. You know, how much time do you have to be to yourself, to process the information you're receiving? Which brings me into the second point of my video, is on why I think people should take breaks from social media. So aside from, you know, the information they're collecting to control us, I think that what is the information that we're receiving, right? And one of the things I want to talk about is videos I see on TikTok sometimes, where people, especially young girls, are talking about their dating experience, right? And it's mostly women who just are like, men are trash, you know? Or people posting about their relationships, or like things like, if he loves you, he will do this, right? And I was watching these videos and I was thinking about how a young teenage girl must be processing this information. Or not even just a young teenage girl, a young teenage girl or boy. Honestly, anyone's susceptible. But I was thinking about a young teenage girl who is watching these videos and how she must be processing this information, right? And you're watching these videos about, you know, people make TikToks about the most bizarre things, by the way. People make videos about outing their partner, about cheating, and just the most craziest thing, you know, telling people. There's so much drama on TikTok, to be honest. But, you know, I think all the time, like, what it must be like today for a teenage girl who is trying to find her way, trying to find her independence, trying to find her space in this huge world. And she's watching these videos, and what's happening is that it's building subconscious beliefs about relationships, right? This is just me giving one example. You're watching all these videos and you're creating these subconscious beliefs about what a relationship should or shouldn't be. And you're not really drawing from your experiences. You're drawing from other people's experiences that you have never even met, you know? And TikTok also has an algorithm. So they're pushing, they're seeing what you're liking and what you're watching, and they're pushing more of that to you. So it makes me feel very fearful, because what's happening is that we have so many young women who are having anxiety when they're going into a relationship, right? Because they're like, men ain't shit. And the truth is, yes, there are so many men who ain't shit. But the truth is that there are really great men out there. And what's sad is that you might actually, you know, you might skip out on a really great guy because you're like, this is how a man should treat me. And it could be your idea of how a man should treat you is just like, he buys you material things. And because this guy is not giving you material things, he's not the one. You know, we watch these aesthetic type of TikToks where it's like girls who are having like these luxurious lifestyles, and no one really posts on social media. That's the thing. People don't really post often about the hard times, right? People are posting the best of the best. And when it is the hard times, it's like I got cheated on, and this guy did this to me, and this guy did this. And what I'm basically trying to say is that it's a young girl could be creating these predetermined feelings towards a relationship before she actually ever experiences a relationship, and she might cause herself to self-sabotage. And this is not to say this is just a young teenage girl. It can honestly be anyone, right? I think even for me, growing up, and I grew up in the era of social media being on the come up, and me processing information, right? And me seeing like, this is how a relationship be, and this is how a relationship shouldn't be, and this is what I want, and this is what I don't want. You're just like creating these beliefs in your mind, and you're creating a life around it. And I think that's really toxic. And this doesn't just go for like relationships, it could go for anything. Like fashion is so big right now, TikTok has helped people in so many ways, right? Like there's so many benefits of it where people can teach you how to do a hairstyle and put clothing together, all these things. But then there's the idea that like, you're comparing yourself to other people's lives. And I think many people do that, compare themselves to others and feel like they are not where they need to be in life. And it causes a lot of mental health issues. Facebook, I think recently it was an executive from Facebook kind of outed them and was like, Facebook knows that there's major mental health issues that young girls are going through because of Instagram. And that's because Instagram literally pushes perfect women all the time. There's a over sexualization of women that happens on TikTok. On Instagram. I recently got on Instagram, and the For You page, I don't even know if it's a For You page. It's like one of the, I don't even know what part of the page it is, but it was just like the Kardashians and Kylie Jenner and all these Instagram baddies. And I watch those, and sometimes I'm like, damn, like these women look good, and it's plastic surgery, and there's so much happening, right? And it's overwhelming. I can't even imagine what it's like for young people today, because you're being told this is the standard beauty, and you're comparing yourselves, and it's very natural to compare yourself, right? I have friends who are like, yeah, but you should have mental strength to not to compare yourselves. But in reality, it's very normal to do that. And the people who usually tell me like, oh, social media is not bad, and you shouldn't compare yourself, often those are the people that like are always on social media, like literally post everything about their lives on social media. If they experience something in life, it's going on social media. They have a photo shoot for everything, for going out to eat, for a bad day, a sick day, the best days of like, these people are literally social media. Their life is a reality show because of social media. So it's often people who are like, try to debate me about the harmful effects of social media that are literally a product of social media, where their lives are sometimes, their lives on social media sometimes is better than the life that they actually live. And that's truth. Like, people will glamorize their lives on Instagram, and they're only constantly showing the best of the best of the best. And they want people to feel like their lives are amazing, that they're doing amazing. And I think there is a lot of mental health issues with that, because when you are not even the person you're portraying yourself to be, there will be a moment where you will crash and burn. And some of these people actually do. They actually do fall into depression. These are people I actually know. And because they're not able to actually take a moment to step away from social media and have that break to themselves, and they never actually experience that hiatus from social media, even though they went through that depression, when they get out of the depression, they just go back into that same cycle. And I can see that their life is just kind of at a standstill, especially in terms of their career, or how they perceive life, or their thoughts, having conversations, realizing that they're the same person that they've always been. And a lot of the thoughts that they have, the beliefs that they have, truly isn't original. It isn't authentic. It's something that they've kind of learned from somewhere else, and it's not even school. They learned it from social media. Social media taught them something, and social media emotionally triggered them, and that became their perspective. I think only when you really take a long break from social media and you're not receiving so much information, and you have the moment to actually process that information, when you finally get to that place where you're thinking for yourself, you can easily pick up when other people are not thinking for themselves, right? And it's not to say that, we shouldn't be able to see other people's thoughts and beliefs and learn from that, right? Because I do that. I come on YouTube, and I don't feel like YouTube is as addicting as TikTok or Instagram. Maybe you guys can comment below and let me know if you find YouTube, addicting, but I don't. But I think only when you're able to take a moment to break off from social media and stop being so connected to everything and everyone, you actually have more time to yourself to think for yourself. That's what my video is mostly about, is just take a break from social media so that you can think for yourself, so that you can ask yourself better questions, so that you can find your purpose, so that you can bring awareness to what really matters to you. Because the only way you can actually break out of the matrix is to sometimes stop being so plugged in to everything. And when we get on social media, what you don't realize is that you are plugging into a matrix, right? You are plugging into the world. You're plugging in, you're seeing what's everyone doing. And never have we ever lived in a time where that was possible, where you can, oh, how's this person doing? And you go to their Instagram page and you check their story and you know what they're up to. You know everything about their life. You know who they're dating. You know if they're having kids, if they graduate college, if they bought a house, if they had a kid, all that information is literally at your fingertips. We're so connected. We're so connected to celebrities. People, the way people today stand celebrities, it's unbelievable. The way people follow a person's life around and make that celebrity's life their life. Some people value celebrities more than they value themselves. And those are the people that might have to actually take a break from social media. And it's important. It's important not just to your mental health, but it's important to your livelihood to take a break from social media. It's important to your livelihood. What can you do with that time that you are not on social media? What can you do with that time? What can you put that time towards? And not just what can you do with that time, but do you have a moment to yourself? When you have a moment to yourself, I feel like the people who I think about who, always debate me on like, no, social media is great and I don't feel like it controls me. These people they're not meditating. They don't ever have a quiet moment. The time that they ever have to themselves, they're watching TV. They're binging TV shows. But how much time do you have to like sit in peace, in meditation, to journal, to read a book? And that's the thing. A lot of people in this new generation, they're not reading books as such. And I actually read a article by Mark Manson, who is the author of The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. He actually does these weekly newsletters, and his recent one was about why you should not be watching TV so much and how you should actually be reading books more. Because when you're watching TV, you're getting all this information. You're not using your brain power. But when you're reading a book, you can actually imagine a storyline. You can have these characters that you're building in your mind, and you're exercising your brain power. And people who watch more TV are usually unhealthier, unhappier. And this can go for even people who just constantly are on social media, right? How much time do you have to yourself is basically my question. To yourself, to be uniquely you. A lot of people are just following trends. Life has just become a trend, following a trend after another, but there's not, I think we're losing that sense of individuality. That's what my video today is about, is making sure that people are not robotic. You know, you're not falling into a simulation, that you're not an algorithm. You know, are we losing our sense of authenticity? Are we losing our sense of authenticity? Are we losing our uniqueness? Are we losing who we are? Being so absorbed with social media and TV and all these platforms of entertainment that we have today, we should be questioning how much of what we are absorbing from these sources of entertainment is creating our outlook on life. How much are we using that information to become the best versions of ourselves? And do we have the ability or the time to become the best version of ourselves? Because, like I mentioned, our normal work week and how much time we spend at work and how much time we have to ourselves is so limiting. So I really want to just make sure that people take the time to truly be with themselves, to ask themselves better questions, because there's so much happening around the world that needs our attention. But if our attention is consumed by social media platforms and we're not taking the appropriate time to be alone and to be quiet in our mind, are we then just products and robots and algorithms? You know, who are we then? And what was the reason that we were even here if we're just going to become a product of our environment or a product of social media? So I would love to know what you guys thought about this video. Comment below. I love hearing from you guys. Please do comment below. I do want to know you guys' thoughts about this video, because I think social media is something that affects every one of us, and we're all tapped in some way or somehow. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't be on any social media site. I'm on YouTube, obviously, but I feel like because I took years off of social media, I found my comfort spot on like how much social media I can endure and how much I like to endure, and how to like not be on social media, how to also have time for myself, how to make sure I have time to meditate, I have time to read a book, have time to have for myself and do my own research and not just constantly consume information on these social media platforms. So let me know you guys' techniques. You know, do you guys think social media is good for our society, and is it helping or is it harmful? Let me know what you guys think. Comment below. I love hearing from you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys at my very next video. Bye-bye.